What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Broad Street Coverage Podcast. Today, we will be diving into the Carson Wentz trade and what it means for the future, and our thoughts about the trade and whether we think we got the right package. So, I'm going to hand it off to Alex now to get us started.
All right. My initial thoughts on the Carson Wentz trade were that I didn't think that it was enough. If I'm being honest, I thought that we should have gotten a clean first for him, even though that was unlikely. But I thought that's where his value was, and I don't know. I thought it was a little low at first, but once I realized, okay, he has to play like 70% of the snaps, and or 70 and make the playoffs, or just 75. And then we get a first. I was like, okay, this is actually pretty good compensation. And two, I realized after 2021, so next offseason, or after 2022, sorry, we're off his contract and we don't have to worry about it anymore. So, I mean, they actually did get pretty good compensation for Wentz, that's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, initially when I first saw it, I think I saw it a couple hours later than everyone else because right when I woke up, I saw the trade. So it took me a little bit to process it. And I was also under the impression that we'd at least get a clean first, but that wasn't the case. And I definitely thought that we could have done a better job at getting one because I felt like we had most of the leverage at the time because I thought it was the Colts needed the quarterback and we were the supplier and they were the demanders. So I thought that we could have wiggled it out.
I kind of disagree with that only because of Wentz's contract and how he struggled this past season. And there's still some more options that the Colts could possibly get at quarterback this offseason. There are many, but obviously Wentz is probably the best option for them. But they definitely have to think about that contract and how he struggled last year.
Yeah, that was the one thing that I think also didn't give the Eagles as much leverage was that contract. And I think what Alex said, we only pay it's a lot, but we paid $34 million in dead cap this season for Wentz's contract, which I think is the most in NFL history, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but $12 million.
Yeah. But then after that, we pay zero. So we take a hit for a year.
We also don't have to pay the $10 million roster bonus that we would have had to pay this year if he was on the roster on the third day of the offseason, I think.
Yeah.
And I personally don't think that for this year the dead cap is really that big of a deal. We're not contending, so I mean, if anything,
that's a great point.
If we have less money to get the supporting cast for Hurts that we need. I mean, obviously, you don't want to put Hurts in a bad situation, but we're not contending this year. So, sure, the dead cap is the biggest in history, but it'd be a lot more. It would hurt us a lot more if we were, trying to contend, and we needed that to, get some filler players. But I think that if anything, it'll just help the rebuild even more. If that makes sense.
I'll tell you this though. Yeah, my bad for cutting you off. But I'll tell you this though. I'd rather trade Wentz now and get a potential second or a potential first and a third round pick, or rather than having him on the bench and not getting anything for him. Because if he gets benched and he doesn't win the battle versus Hurts, it's sort of like you're paying that dead cap anyways, and you're not going to get the same value you got for him when you traded him initially.
Yeah, that's what I've been preaching because obviously it would have been great if we could keep Wentz and fix him and he was back to the player he was, but I never thought it was worth the risk to keep him on the roster because of what you're saying now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think.
And also, you go, Jack. My bad. No, you go.
No.
You go.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I agree with Nate completely. If he sucked again, then we were screwed. So you had to move on, and I think obviously we wanted a Matthew Stafford package, but that was unrealistic. So I'll take basically a first and a third. I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah. That's definitely good compensation. One thing I was gonna say too is like I was under the impression that I changed my mind a little bit. I thought that we shouldn't have traded Wentz just because that I thought I thought his upside was so good, but I thought that he was willing to stay because I heard reports or I saw something from Jeremy Fowler that said that because Doug Peterson was fired, Carson Wentz was like his odds of staying in Philadelphia significantly improved. And so I thought that Carson wanted to be here since we fired Doug. But if Carson wanted to leave because of Howie, first of all, I completely understand why he'd want to leave. And second of all, I I would definitely reconsidered it after I learned that. So
Yeah. The way that I saw it was always thought it was like, oh, we can't bring Frank Reich back here, but like we can bring the next best thing, which is like I guess Nick Sirianni. I thought that was what was going to be the case, and I thought he would be the guy that would fix Carson Wentz, or at least try to like get him to like like just get him back to his former self a little bit. But then I think like through some of the other hirings that happened, like I think the current quarterbacks coach, I think Jalen Hurts literally calls him his like uncle. I think like just
Brian Johnson.
Yeah, things like that, like just kind of gave me more of a sense that it was Hurts' time. And also like I think we talked about this the last episode, but like Hurts is like rallying up a lot of the wide receivers to go practice in Texas, stuff like that, like things that Wentz would be doing in the past. Yeah, I mean, I hate to like knock, like I mean, obviously I want to give Jalen Hurts another shot. I don't really think it's fair to judge him off those 3 games or those 4 games. He did show promises, but like he did struggle a little bit, and I think like he definitely has like that mentality that he wants to go out there and win. He like wants to ball out, stuff like that. I mean, it was evident in like that Washington game, like where he was upset with getting pulled out and stuff like that. So I think we can have like a little bit of like security with that, just knowing that like he wants to be out there and compete and stuff like that.
And also too, there are videos of him working with I forget his name, but he's worked with Patrick Mahomes before, and he's worked with other good QBs around the league. He's like a really well-respected quarterbacks coach, and he's been working with Hurts a lot lately. So it's really good to see him like working during the off season and putting those videos out, even though it's kind of like a Ben Simmons thing, where like you don't really know what you're getting, but like it's still good to see. Like you'd rather see it than to not see it. So I'm glad that we're seeing that.
I definitely don't think it's fair to. Like, I know Alex is a firm believer of if Sirianni has this guy, then, or if he thinks he has this guy, then draft his guy. But I don't really think it's fair to give up on Hurts already after 4 games, or 3.5, or 3 3/4 games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I agree.
Like, we saw enough to where he bought himself another year or however long it takes, unless he absolutely sucks. But
yeah,
I feel like he earned more consideration.
Yeah, he did do a pretty decent job, like, or at least I felt he did a pretty decent job of like masking up a lot of the problems that the Eagles had. Like the offensive line would collapse, and that was like a problem that got really exposed with Carson Wentz under center, because like he couldn't move as well as Hurts can. And I think like Hurts being able to scramble and move around kind of masks out the problems. And like Jack said, like I do think he deserves another shot, or at least another year. And I feel like right now, given the state of like our roster, there are a lot more holes that we have that like I don't think it's worth drafting a quarterback at 6th overall when we could get someone like Jamar Chase or like Patrick Surtain.
I just feel like we have way more holes in the roster where, like, if you have the 6th overall pick right now, which this much talent in this draft class, you take a player that fills a bigger need, and then if Hurts sucks, then you'll probably be picking top 6 to 12 again. I would guess.
Yeah,
probably
earlier,
honestly.
top 5 maybe.
I mean, yeah, could be top 5. I think I don't know if people are like people are saying like 3 and 14. Like I don't really think that's gonna happen. But like,
no, I disagree with that completely.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just feel like there might be other bad teams in the league so that's why I said 6 to 12. It could easily be like 4.
Yeah.
But either way, if Hurts sucks and you have a pick that high, you can just get a quarterback next year and fill a bigger need this year in a stacked draft class.
Also,
One, go
also
ahead, Nate.
how I see it is, it's not fair to throw a guy like Justin Fields or Trey Lance into this situation, sort of like how we put Wentz in this situation. Like drafting another quarterback at 6 just creates more controversy, and then if Lance or Fields don't perform well, it's also going to be a big knock on Sirianni and Howie, and also it's going to kill Hurts' confidence as well.
Yeah.
Well, can we stop acting like we have some terrible offensive supporting cast? Like we have Lane Johnson, who is the top 5 right tackle in the league. We have Brandon Brooks, who's a top 3 right guard in the league. We have Dallas Goedert, who's a stud tight end. We have Miles Sanders, who's arguably a top 10 running back in the league. Like the Eagles don't have like a bottom 5 supporting cast.
Yeah, no,
okay?
Yeah, all right. Good point.
But I mean, the thing
I've
is,
been
like,
arguing that as well.
to be fair, we didn't have Brooks. Lane missed how many weeks?
He missed a good amount.
We weren't
missed
healthy.
more than half the
But
season.
we just have to go into the mindset that the Eagles are not going to be healthy because they're never healthy. It's just a curse. Like somebody is going to get hurt. That's just how. I mean, it's a bad way to look at it, but like we've been able to contend, or we were able to contend the previous 3 years with a boatload of injuries. So
Also, I wouldn't say Miles is arguably a top 10 running back, also Kelsey could retire. We could be hearing about that soon.
Yeah, I know. I think that's why I didn't mention Kelsey, because I'm pretty sure he's going to retire. But yeah, I hate that narrative that like Carson Wentz didn't have any help last year. Like obviously, like he had inconsistent help. Like obviously, like Travis Fulgham was inconsistent as hell. Miles Sanders, there's some games where he just popped off, and other games where he rushed for like 2 yards a carry.
that was also one of the play calling too. Some of that.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely agree with that a lot because I have been saying that.
But Nate, I had a question. So you're saying like about like Lance or Fields, when you say throwing him into this situation, did you mean the supporting cast, or did you mean like the controversy with Hurts?
Yeah, that's what I meant more about the controversy, because I do think the supporting cast is underrated, but also
because I was just gonna say like that's just part of the deal for high.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right about that. Also,
they just have to. A lot of the times they have to go to a crappy situation.
We probably wouldn't have a wide receiver 1 again. Also, so that also goes to that.
I do agree with what Nate did say though. I mean, I guess like on paper, our team does look pretty solid. Like we do have a solid support cast, but it's always the health and like being able to play week in and week out. Like we even started. Well, I think Brooks was out from week 1, right? He got hurt in the offseason. But just to see like how much our team and like our offense just changed throughout the season. I mean, we had like 14 offensive line changes. So it's like, I think that's what he means. And maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, so sorry if I am. But I think what he means is just like the consistency of that supporting cast. Because even like Miles Sanders will go down for a couple of games. Or then all of a sudden you're bringing back like an Alshon off of like wherever they put him. And he's getting playing time over Fulgham. So I think it's just like that thing. There's no consistency with that supporting cast.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Like I was talking about too, like Fulgham had that like insane 4-game stretch, and then he was like horrible. Like I won't say horrible, but like not productive.
He played like
at the back end of the season.
Yeah, the thing is like
I
don't know how much.
We played like what he was.
Well, also he could have been playing hurt as well because he did have surgery when
that's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Fulgham can be hopefully a reliable, second or third wide receiver. But let's segue into Jalen Hurts. We made the trade, so
his team.
Jalen Hurts is our guy now, probably, right?
I mean, we have to assume he's our guy unless we draft somebody, which I personally hope we don't. But what are you guys expecting from Hurts next year?
I mean, personally, I really don't know what to expect. I definitely don't think we're going to be like contending or anything like that. I feel like we'll probably be at the bottom of the division, but that's just me being a bit pessimistic. Maybe he exceeds expectations. I don't think he's going to do anything too crazy. unfortunately. But I think it really depends how we like address the off season. Like if we, I don't know, Sirianni looks promising. Is what they should be used for, and like he'll like, I don't know. I feel like players like Miles Sanders will get a lot more like involved in the team. And I think if we draft someone like Jamar Chase to be the new wide receiver one, then I feel like that would definitely help out Hurts a lot. So I think it just falls under that.
I personally have high hopes for him because I really expected him to do a lot worse than Wentz, or not worse, just not any better than Wentz when he came in, and he ended up exceeding my expectations. And I also like how he's already working to get better, as Alex said earlier. And I also have a lot of high hopes for this offense with a new offensive coordinator. And hopefully, as Samir just said, that we draft Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith. So yeah, I have high hopes for him.
I'm kind of in the middle between both of you. Like, Samir is more like a pessimistic approach, and like Nate's more like excited. But I think that we're gonna be like in every game, and Jalen Hurts is gonna keep us competitive. But like, I think we're still gonna have like a negative record, and I still think we're gonna be like in that 6-win, 5-win type team.
Mm-hmm.
But like that wouldn't be a knock on Hurts. Like, I think he's just gonna make some second year mistakes in clutch situations. But I think we're going to be competitive with a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Sort of like the Panthers this year, like how they were competitive with Kansas City and the Bucks, but like nobody expected them to beat those teams. I think that we're going to be in that sort of boat this year, especially with the new coaching staff. But I think that there's a real chance for Hurts to leave us with optimism going forward, or he could just be absolutely terrible and we'll draft a quarterback next year. But I think that we're going to be in the middle between both of what you guys are thinking.
Yeah.
I think the Panthers comparison is a good one, but I've always been, when it comes to Philly sports teams, I'm always a bit delusional. So like, I think that we could exceed expectations a little bit. I'm not saying we're going to make the playoffs or anything, but like, I don't know. I feel like we won't. We might be in the thick of things week 10 in the division, because who knows how bad the division is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, he's technically, I don't know, I'm going to consider Hurts to be a rookie still because he's only played 4 games, or like 4 games as a quarterback. So I think like with that, there are bound to be some mistakes. I mean, I am trying to be like optimistic about it. I do think like he showed a lot of promise, and he definitely has that drive that, like you guys said, will keep us in the games. And I don't know, I was looking at like the numbers, and I was like comparing it to Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson. In the first 4 games, like this is just based off the numbers, but Hurts was a lot better than them two. And I know like that doesn't mean much, but that means a little bit to me, that like he has shown a little bit of promise, and like maybe he can be someone that does like in like a particularly weak NFC East could take us to the playoff. I don't know. We'd have to rely on a lot to get there, but maybe he could get us there.
I'm going to go with probably not, but maybe. But honestly, like I don't think the football team is that, like, everybody's overrating the football team. Like,
Yeah.
I really just think they have
They
momentum.
literally don't have a quarterback.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, who are they gonna play quarterback next year? Taylor Heineke or Cam Newton? Like, I'm not scared of either of them.
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
as long as
go ahead, Nate.
Dak is back with the Cowboys, I think as long as he's back, they're going to win the division.
They should.
Yeah, I definitely think Dallas is kind of underrated coming into this year because they literally went 6-10 last year with Andy Dalton
And Ben DiNucci,
and now that they're going to have
Garrett Gilbert.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm one to believe that if they had Dak last year, I think that they would have gone like probably 8-8-ish.
Yeah,
because they would have beaten like teams like the Steelers and the Giants, and us probably.
Oh yeah.
So I think Dallas should definitely be the favorite to win the division, and people are just looking at the team from last year and not what they're going to be with Dak. That's just my opinion, though.
No, I definitely agree that they should win the division, but you know, they're kind of like the Mets. You know, they have a really good team, but they always, at least recently, they've found ways to, be bad, and
Mm-hmm.
they
That's a good
found ways to
comparison.
shoot themselves in the foot. Like last year, well, preseason, we had a lot higher hopes for our roster, but the year before, I'm pretty sure it was the consensus that Dallas was winning that division, right?
Right.
And they pretty much choked it away. I mean, we had, obviously that's
We had every losing to win or to lose the division
yeah.
that year.
Obviously Wentz's heroics, which we'll always remember, got us to the playoffs that year. But it was kind of pathetic on their part that they didn't make the playoffs that year in
Yeah.
the division.
And even I don't know, even this year or last year before Dak went down, I didn't really think that team was all that special. I mean, offensively they're pretty good, but
Oh
their
yeah.
defense was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And they should have lost a couple games that they ended up winning, like that Atlanta
Falcons game.
games. Yeah, that Falcons game. If they just recovered, that would have been a loss right there. And
Their defense did pick it up as the year went on, though, but it's not hard to improve off
always
of
say that.
what their defense was doing
Exactly.
earlier in the year.
yeah, I feel like the bar was so low at that point that
But-
any sort of progress. Sorry.
Yeah, but it's also a long off season, so we don't know what additions they're going to make to that defense as of now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Washington finished below the Giants and the Cowboys.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, me neither.
Me neither.
But I don't think that the Giants. I mean, they showed some flat. Everybody, I don't know why everybody's acting like they're a good team now after going 6-10.
Everyone
You know what I mean?
showed some sort of flash in the NFC East this season.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really understand the hype around the football team and the Giants. I understand the football team has an incredible defense, but
Yeah.
but if they roll out Cam Newton, I mean, I don't see them doing
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I don't know what's he gonna do.
I do think though that if they made the trade, well, and I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was a report by Justina Anderson that Washington was really close to acquiring Matthew Stafford before the Rams came in
That would've
and
been
swooped
scary.
him up. Yeah, and if the Reds, or excuse me, if Washington got Matthew Stafford, I think that they would be like a 10-6 type team,
Mm-hmm.
just because I think they'd be super balanced. Really,
Yeah.
I mean, like they have Gibson, they would have Stafford.
Yeah, Terry McLaurin has a legitimate
have Terry
They'd
quarterback.
probably
McLaurin.
add a wide receiver in the draft as well, next to
Yeah.
Lauren, and Sims had a solid year as well.
They have a ton of cap space too, I'm pretty sure. So they could sign someone in free agency as well. But if they really wanted to go all in. But I think that if they did acquire Stafford, that they would probably win the division pretty convincingly.
Mhm.
But
I mean, what are
Obviously,
their
they
options
didn't.
right now at quarterback?
Ooh,
I mean, could they?
Darnold.
Oh,
Darnold.
I
Marcus Mariota,
I was gonna say
Cam
Mariota,
Newton,
but I mean,
maybe Dak if he hits the open
if
market.
they get Dak, then I mean they're obviously gonna win the division because then that
Yeah.
means the Cowboys with Dalton. So,
Mhm.
I mean, Dak followed them on Instagram the other day. I mean, he unfollowed
yeah,
them. but,
I don't
like,
know. I don't understand why.
I thought that was
No,
pretty
yeah.
odd.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would rather have Dak in Washington than well.
Then Dak and
No.
I'd rather him
Nah,
succeed
I
in
definitely
Washington than
disagree with
succeed in
that.
Dallas.
I'd rather
Okay.
him not. Yeah,
I agree
mean,
with that.
Well, yeah, you're right about that,
Yeah.
but I'm more scared of him in Washington because they actually have a good
True.
coaching staff and a good defense and
They would.
a good
they
running
would,
back now because Zeke is just not the same player he once
It would
was.
take.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose for more division, if we want the division to be more balanced, then Dak in Dallas is better.
hmm
But I mean, it'd be great if Dak just left the division altogether, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, what is the situation look? Do any of you guys know what the situation in Dallas is looking like? Like,
I saw a report today by I think Jeremy Fowler that Dallas is going to have to restructure or cut some players in order to franchise tag them.
jeez.
Like right now, they currently literally cannot franchise tag them because they'd
Oh, they
go
can't
over
even
the
afford
cap.
that.
But
Damn.
yeah, they can't afford that. So they're going to have to start restructuring and cutting players. So I thought that was pretty
Damn.
interesting.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, if I think it's safe to say that the football team is in the best situation.
Yeah.
They're pretty much a quarterback and maybe another wide receiver away from being.
Yeah, I
I'm not
definitely
going
agree.
to
I'd agree with that, but
in potential to win a playoff.
yeah, honestly though, I I hate saying this as an Eagles fan, but I really like the Giants if they draft well, because like their defense is really good. Like everyone talks about Washington's defense, so their defense is really good this year as
Yeah,
well.
I do agree.
And
I
Yeah,
do
That's
agree.
true too. And they're getting
yeah,
Saquon
Yeah.
back.
and when you didn't make Daniel Jones try to be a hero. He didn't turn the ball over, and they were winning games. Like Daniel Jones wasn't impressive, but he wasn't turning the ball over like he's done his whole
Hmm.
career, and it helped them a lot.
I think that if the Giant or if Daniel Jones becomes a rich man's Alex Smith, which is probably like top 12 ish, I think that they could definitely win upwards of 10 games because also they have a super easy
that's a lot to
schedule.
ask though, for him to become top
Yeah,
12.
yeah, maybe
Yeah,
top
I
15.
mean, he would have to pass a lot of people. He's in the 20s right now, so
probably lower
yeah, like
20s.
20.
But like
He's probably a bottom
all he has to do
five
is just
quarterback.
be like slightly above average, and I think that the Giants would definitely improve.
I'm just not sure
Yeah,
how
for
sold
sure.
I am on Daniel Jones though. Like I don't know if this is just me like because I'm a like Eagles fan trying to like spike the team, but I just don't think he's that great of a player.
Yeah, I wouldn't call him a franchise quarterback now, but like I said, how they didn't make him try to be a hero. He wasn't
Yeah,
turning the ball over, and he was just a game manager, and that's fine
worked
for a
out.
Giants
Yeah,
team that was missing Saquon and had a horrible O line.
yeah. And if they get someone like they do get a good receiver in the draft, I don't know. They have like late teens, right? Their draft pick.
They're the 11th pick,
Oh shit. Okay. Never
but
mind.
the thing is, I think they're gonna focus on like A Rob or Galladay if he
Okay,
doesn't get tagged
that
by
makes
Detroit.
sense. Because even if they don't like go after a Robert God, like they don't get someone like that and they miss out, they could easily get someone like Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, they could. They'd be in position for
Yeah.
Waddle.
So even then, like you have Darius Slayton, you have Evan Ingram. I mean, Evan Ingram is just like I don't think he's ever gonna like
Evan Ingram
progress.
ruined their season.
It's kind of a
Yeah.
loser.
I saw something the other day. It was like a couple of Daniel Jones's picks, like a majority, like half of them probably, were because of Evan Ingram drops. And
Are you
he
serious?
also dropped as we all know, he dropped the catch that would have put the Eagles away, and also uh, gave the Giants a playoff berth. So yeah,
Yeah. I think yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I think every NFC East team, like I do agree with what you guys said earlier. I don't really see all the hype behind the other teams. I think a lot of them are hyping themselves up. Like I have friends who are like Giants fans. Like one of my friends, he's hyped up the team a good amount. And
mm-hmm.
at the same time, he's also really sold on Daniel Jones and thinks he's a franchise quarterback. So that might, I mean, take that as you want. I don't really take his word too much for that, but I don't know. I think in this division, I think we would have like I don't think we're going to be an insanely good team, but I think just given the state of this division, there's always some sort of chance.
I don't think there's a clear cut favorite in this division. Like you could make a solid point
Yeah.
for each and every team, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so like you could have an argument for each and every team. Like let's say Dallas, let's say Zeke bounces back, um, and Dak goes back to like where he was in 2019 and early 2020. That team could be really solid. Um, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of best
Hmm.
case scenarios for these teams. Like if they explode, the division could significantly improve in terms of like how it's viewed across the league, because right now it's not viewed as a really good division. But I think that there's so much young talent that it could definitely explode and become like a top upper half of the division or of the league. But like everything would have to go right.
Yeah. I think the argument can be made for a bunch of teams because you can also say like, oh, what if Washington gets like a quarterback? Then that could put them over the edge. Or if like the Giants draft really well and they get Saquon back and he plays out, lights out, then I think like there's a case for every team pretty much.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that it'll be competitively bad again.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to put
I
it.
could see that too. I could definitely.
That's a good way to put it.
Like all the teams will be in the running, but nobody's gonna have a record better than 9-7, or I guess
9-8 now
maybe
because
9-8 or 10-7.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, so that will just about do it for this episode. We all kind of have similar views on the Eagles and how we think they'll perform next year. We think there's potential; they could potentially be decent, but it's more likely than not they're going to be pretty bad. We're all pretty happy with the Wentz trade, and we're excited to see how Hurts performs as the guy.
I think it'll be interesting to see how like we address our holes in the off season through the draft and stuff like that. I mean, that's definitely the place you want to hit. It'll be cool to see how Howie can kind of like redeem himself, I guess, because we are pretty tough in cap space, and that is his job after all to try to get us out there. So I think it'll be interesting to see how that gets addressed as well.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So does anybody have anything else?
No, that's pretty much it.
Nope,
right,
I think we're good.
Appreciate you guys for watching. Stay tuned or listening. Stay tuned for a Sixers episode Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah.